About the Korean Peninsula, our minds usually jump straight to politics, right? To the headlines and the tension. But today, we're going to peel all that back. We're going to look at how the land itself, the mountains, the rivers, has basically written the script for its entire dramatic history. I mean, it's pretty wild when you stop and think about it. You have one peninsula, but two completely different worlds. To the north, a one-party state with a tightly controlled, centrally planned economy, and in the south, you have a bustling democratic republic that's become a global economic powerhouse. They share a language, they share thousands of years of history, but boy, have their paths diverged. So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth did this happen? How did one people on one piece of land end up in such dramatically different places? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is literally written into the ground beneath their feet. To really get what's happening now, we have to start with the land itself. Geography has been the silent author of Korea's long and complicated story, shaping everything from where ancient kingdoms would rise to exactly where a border would eventually be drawn. Okay, so here's the basic lay of the land. Just imagine the Taebaek Mountains as this huge spine running right down the east coast. Now, because of this spine, everything kind of slopes gently down to the west. And what that means is that all the major rivers flow west too. As they flow, they carry all this rich soil and deposit it, creating these incredibly fertile plains. And those plains? That's the cradle of Korean civilization. And of all those rivers, the Han River was the ultimate prize. For centuries, the ancient kingdoms fought tooth and nail to control its basin. So why was it so important? Well, if you controlled the Han, you controlled the best farmland and the main route out to the sea, and to the regional superpower, China. Holding the Han meant you were on top. And just to give you a sense of its scale, look at this number. Over 35,000 square kilometers. That's the drainage area of the Han River. It was, and really still is, the lifeblood of the entire peninsula. So you have this natural landscape that brought people together, centered them around these life-giving rivers. But then, in the 20th century, a completely unnatural line was drawn right across that map, a deep scar that would change absolutely everything. And it all happened so fast. It's kind of mind-boggling. In 1945, after World War II ends Japan's rule, the Allied powers just split the peninsula in half along the 38th parallel. This temporary line hardened almost overnight, leading to the devastating Korean War in 1950. The fighting finally stopped in 1953, but not with a peace treaty, just an armistice, which basically cemented the division we still have today. And here's the crucial part. Because the war never officially ended, they created this buffer zone, the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. It's this 250-kilometer-long, 4-kilometer-wide ribbon of land that just slices the peninsula in two. It's a constant physical reminder that this conflict is still very much alive. And this is where you get one of the world's greatest, most tragic paradoxes. The DMZ is one of the most dangerous, heavily armed places on the entire planet, just bristling with soldiers and landmines. But because it's been left completely untouched by humans for over 70 years, it's become this accidental paradise, an incredible nature reserve teeming with rare and endangered wildlife. It is a landscape of extreme tension and unbelievable peace, all at the same time. So on opposite sides of this scar, two societies with the exact same heritage began to walk down completely different paths, each one shaped by opposing ideologies and the great powers of the Cold War. I mean, the sheer scale of the difference is staggering. In the north, you've got this hereditary one-party state, a military-first economy, and incomes that are tragically low. Then you jump over to the south, and it's another universe. A vibrant democracy, a world-leading economy, and a society known for things like K-pop, blazing fast internet, and a huge emphasis on education. The story of South Korea's incredible economic boom is often called the miracle on the Han River. And that name is no accident. It deliberately and directly ties the nation's unbelievable transformation from a war-torn country to a global giant right back to the geographical heart of the peninsula. North Korea, on the other hand, went a totally different way. It built its entire society around a state ideology called Juche. At its core, it's a philosophy of radical self-reliance. It prioritized military strength and total independence above everything else, which ultimately led to its deep economic isolation. And you can see those different priorities crystal clear when you just look at the size of their armies. North Korea maintains one of the largest standing armies in the entire world, with over 1 million active soldiers. That's more than double the number in the South, even though it has only half the population. It tells you everything you need to know about where their resources and focus have gone. So all of this brings us to today, and to a future that, honestly, remains completely unwritten. The division runs incredibly deep, but that hope for peace, for some kind of reconciliation, is always there, bubbling under the surface. Which leads to the one question that just hangs over everything. After more than 70 years apart, can this land ever really be made whole again? Is reconciliation even possible? And what's so fascinating is that there isn't one simple answer, not even within South Korea itself. You talk to many in the younger generation who have no memory of the war, and they're eager for unification. But then you have the older generation, those who lived through the conflict's brutality, and for them, the US military presence feels like a vital shield. And let's be real, the obstacles to any kind of lasting peace are just immense. North Korea's nuclear program is obviously the biggest hurdle, but even if that were to vanish tomorrow, you're still left with 70 years of deep ideological distrust, military tension, and this almost unanswerable question. How would you even begin to merge two countries that are so fundamentally different? And so we end up right back where we started, looking at the DMZ. For decades, it has been the world's most powerful symbol of division, a deep, painful scar on the land. But as we've seen, it also holds this incredible paradox of life in quiet. So the final question for the Korean Peninsula is this: could this ultimate barrier, this symbol of conflict, ever somehow be transformed